Welcome back, Summoners, to AEL. Tonight, we're going to have Dorado Gaming Iota taking on Conduit Eclipse. I'm your host for the evening, Korak, joined once again by DBZ, who's excited to be casting Conduit once again as he comes back.
So, I was gone last week for the obvious first, I was getting my floors redone, so I was gone last week. I didn't have my computer. And I'm like, all right, as I'm getting ready to start prepping for this week, I'm like, who do I go this week? And then I look, and then it's Conduit Eclipse again. I'm like, oh, all right, so let's do this. Dorado, I am very familiar with as an organization. I've casted them on Risen. I've casted them on Titan a couple of times. I think I even covered one of their OQs run as well. So as we have Dorado Gaming Iota on our screen, we have Kelly G in the top lane, Chucko in the jungle, NBK in the mid lane, Mustard in the bot lane, and Gremlin as the support as well. And they're kind of struggling a little bit in this league right now. They're 3-2. They even lost last week's series 2-0, and they're fighting to maintain second seed in their group. While meanwhile, on the other side, Conduit Eclipse, on the other hand, they're feeling good. They're 4-1, and they're looking really strong, especially when we last saw them a couple of weeks ago.
Absolutely, and I'm excited to see these two really duke it out, because even though Dorado, like you said, hasn't been having the greatest league season, whatever you choose to call it, there's still plenty of opportunities for them to come back, and I think that's kind of the nicest thing about a lot of these different leagues is we're not in the playoffs just quite yet, so there's plenty of time for them to get better, plenty of time for them to improve, maybe find a better source of caffeine, synergy, whatever it is that's pulling your team down, stock up on Mountain Dew, whatever helps for sure. But I am excited to see that. I'm always excited to see a little bit of an underdog story. Maybe I'm a sucker for that, DBZ. So I'm hoping Dorado turns it around and absolutely blows our pants off. That would be fantastic.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. I don't know if Zol is in the chat by chance, but if he is, hey, how's it going? Your team, I'm hoping they do well tonight. So Dorado Gaming Iota is going to be on the blue side for this game, and that kind of opens up like, what are we expecting coming into this draft? We're still a few minutes away as we get ready, but since I was last here, we've had a patch, I think. There's even more changes coming along the way, so it kind of makes you wonder. It's like, okay, we're in week 6 now. Do these teams kind of start coming up with different game plans, going like later and later into this split, as we have again playoffs starting on December 4th, I believe, because next week is the last week of the regular split. Then we're off for Thanksgiving, and then we're right into playoffs. Conduit Eclipse, they're 4-1. They're in a 3-way tie, I believe, for first place in their group right now. So really, they're fine with where they are. They're in playoffs. Dorado Gaming Iota, on the other hand, they're second place, but I even put this in my notes as well. This game really is about seeding for Dorado, because if they win, then they maintain the second seed in their group. However, if they lose, then XSV Greed wins, then I believe that it enters a tiebreaker potential scenario, or maybe even they just flat out lose that. It just kind of depends on how tonight's series goes.
So it indeed sounds like Dorado is at least a little bit up against a wall, but Conduit just has just as good of reason to continue winning. As you said, there is a 3-way split for the number 1 slot in their group, and of course, all 3 of them want to get their hands on it, and that would knock Conduit in maybe a less desirable spot. They do have plenty of opportunities to come back. Like you said, we've got time until those playoffs do kick off. But Dorado, like I said, I'm pretty excited. I don't know anything about this Dorado team team. I haven't seen them personally, but I've got to say I'm a real big fan, only because we have someone in the chat called Mustard, which is absolutely fantastic for me. I'm secretly a 12-year-old and still continue to get a giggle out of little dumb things like that. But we should be getting into draft, I believe. I don't have any notes just quite yet. Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, shut up, Korek. We're already in draft.
I know. I was gonna let you go. You know, you were making a good point, but yeah, no, we are in draft currently. We have Mordekaiser, Aphelios, and Aurora taken off the table. We have Smolder, Jinx, and Rise taken off, and Karma is the first pick, which signals to me that maybe we're looking to pick Ezreal. There also is Caitlyn available if they want to go for it. If I do remember correctly, I do believe Conduit CD Carry does play Caitlyn anyways, so if they want to just, oh, okay, never mind, Sivir for the spell shield, so that actually makes a ton of sense. So something to deny some of that Karma damage, because Karma, as we all know, is obscene to deal with in lane. That also denies the Karma as well from Conduit, but at the same time, picking the Sivir denies it because Sivir Karma is a really strong combo. Now it could be Ezreal Karma, that's an option, but you don't really pick Ezreal this early. Caitlyn is like the next big power pick that goes with Karma, so it kind of depends on what this next pick is. So it's going to be the Maokai, which could either be support or jungle. I am begging, if this is jungle, please do not do the AP build. I had to watch one get blown up every single time he walked up, and I very much prefer the tank build.
And, you know, having that flex pick in both the support and, of course, in the jungle build can do a lot for them for sure. You know, the biggest thing with Maokai, especially if it's support, they've got to be really, really careful because Maokai is indeed not Alistar, and they're nowhere near as tanky, so they need to get in, do their thing, get out, and then go back in as soon as they can. Next response, though, is going to be Udyr. I'd be very surprised if we don't pick up Caitlyn here, DBZ, because the more and more I've seen of her, Caitlyn is kind of turning into a bit of a game warping champion, to where she isn't super crazy like Yanara was, you know, previous back, but she really can change a lot of different games in a lot of different ways. She's so powerful, and she's a great T1 pick. And there it is, just as I'm yapping, she sneaks her way onto the roster, DBZ.
Okay, cool. So I was thinking, like, we really aren't gonna pick Ezreal here, so I'm wondering if they're gonna pick Caitlyn now or wait, but I'm glad they picked it up now. Like you said, the Udyr is Dorado's jungler's second most played champion, so a comfort pick, classic. That's usually what we like to see, you know, a little bit of comfort, especially with how Fearless works. This is best of 3, yes, but still, usually you want to try to get comfort to start to get an edge in the series. And the Gwen being a pick, again, also a flex pick, could be top or jungle, is very, very interesting that we're picking it blind this early, because this does mean that Conduit can ban away a couple of the counters. Jax is one of them. Nope, actually, that's a terrible matchup. Oh my god, I only remember Jax off the top of my head. I guess if you really wanted to go into a skill matchup of like Fiora, oh, they ban Ornn. Okay, they're making me seem psycho now. Okay, what are we doing? I'm losing my mind.
Saying seem, you know, I think might be a little liberal. I think we're a little past that one, DBZ. But indeed, picking up the Ornn ban, I think that does make a lot of sense. Ornn is one of my favorites, sort of, you know, like game 1 picks. He's a great way to test the waters. Yone is not a bad one either, which is going to be the next ban. Yone is a lot like Blitzcrank, to where, you know, he can do bad most of the game, but he gets 1 or 2, like 2 or 3 man ultimates, and the game just absolutely changes. But I do like what Conduit is doing. Everything they've picked is like, hey, it could sort of go either way. And then the other one is, of course, Sivir, to which, you know, Sivir's just going to kind of sit there waiting for those 4 items and eventually come online. You can quote unquote counter Sivir, but it's not really there. She's perfectly happy to just play back and kind of do what Malzahar does, but with a faster wave clear. Next ban is going to be Hui. That makes a lot of sense. And now we're hovering over the last one, DBZ.
I'm trying to think of what we draft here, and it's going to be a Kali as the final ban. We kind of need some more in Engage, because yes, you have Maokai, sure. You have the Twisted Advance and the Nature's Grasp as well. Okay, so we're going with the Scion. That's a... what? Okay, so it has to be Maokai support, Gwen jungle, Scion top. That's the only possible thing that it could be, looking at these 3 teams, or these 3 champions. And I guess we're saving last pick for support, which I find very interesting. Now, for a tank v tank matchup, if we wanted to, you still have Malphite, but unfortunately, Gwen could make his life absolutely miserable. Mundo is an option. That's usually okay. We're going Camille. All my expectations are just kind of going out the window, and
I don't
I
like
don't
this
hate it.
DBZ.
I don't like it, but I don't hate it
I was
either.
trying to ease my way into it, but yeah, no, I'm not a big fan of Camille in this one. I think she's a bit situational because the big thing with Camille is she's a lot like Maokai, but in the top lane where she's got a bit more gold, to where Maokai goes in, blows his entire kit, and then he needs to try to get out of there as soon as possible, but he doesn't have anything other than maybe flash. And Camille can do the same thing. She can go in there, press all her buttons, and if they don't die, she's kind of like, all right, well, now what? Especially into someone like Sion, that's going to be really hard to do. Into someone like Maokai, into Sivir, into Gwyn. It just doesn't seem like a good matchup entirely across the board. We are going to go from Camille into Miss, Outplay button. We're going to pick up Syndra for the mid lane. And now we're waiting on Conduit's last pick to shape up this roster. And I do like everything Dorado's got except for the Camille. It's still weird to me.
Are we doing Orianna here? Are we planning on, I guess? Okay, Lux, I suppose.
She's making a comeback to mid more.
And I'm glad because I've started to pick her up a little bit too. Way fun. Honestly, if you're a mid laner, play Lux a few games, assuming you don't get crapped on by annoying matchups, but she's a lot of fun to play. But I'm looking over, and you probably kind of looked over and saw me just kind of like, what is going on with Dorado's draft right now? But like, I'm not too much of a fan of like a lot of these picks I'm seeing. Like I think Udyr, Karma, and Caitlyn are completely fine, but you're going into Maokai, who I guess it's support potentially. Then you have Gwen and Sion, and you got a lot of beef to cut through with the Sion in particular. And it gets to a point to where this team kind of runs out of damage after they blow all their cooldowns. And there's a lot more sustained team fighting, I would say, from Conduit right now. So in the long game of fights, it just gets to a point to where Dorado just kind of gets mowed down. And I'm really curious, like, what the game plan is. Is it to go in, kind of blow up this Sivir, make her life absolutely miserable? Or is it try to see if we can pick out people, go from there, kind of turn fights in our favor? But Conduit's draft, I think, is a lot easier to execute, I would say, and Dorado's is gonna be a little difficult, at least if they struggle in the early game.
Well, and maybe the angle is here because, of course, this is about the Emerald, I believe D4 cap, if I remember correctly, level. So, maybe the comfort is a little bit more on the Camille, even though, it's just, like I said, it's a little bit situational. I put them in the same category as I put like Cho'Gath and Mundo, to where they can be very powerful, but they need the right scenario for sure. And if you're able to get in there and you're able to get on the Sivir, you can take them out. I mean, I guess you can focus on the Lux as well. Those are two soft targets to go for, but just like you mentioned, that Sion is going to be quite the beefcake to deal with. Sure, you can focus down Maokai, but if Maokai gets his ultimate and his Twisted Advance off, you're going to have a hard time pinning him down, and if you do kill him, you're kind of wasting your time in a lot of different ways because of the damage on Sivir. But maybe the goal is there's going to be a lapse in the damage, at least for the ADC with Sivir, because Sivir needs time to come online. Sivir needs those 4 items to really begin to beef things up. And, if Camille's able to get in there sort of at that window and just dominate where she can, they can stop the game from getting to those 4 items. I'm just looking for the silver lining. I can hear the teeth grinding from over here for sure on how the game's going to go, but...
Yeah, and I'm looking over at Callie G's champ pool right now, and Camille is in there. 9 games, sure, not that big of a deal, but at the same time, it's like I'm seeing things like Cho'Gath in here, which is played into Sion. Ornn was obviously banned. They play Sion themselves as well, so I'm not entirely sure. There's Cassante also that's in their match history, but maybe we're saving that for like game 2s, like kind of see if we can like get all of our most comfort champions out there first game 1, get that first win, and then games 2 and 3 is like, okay, now we fall back into more things that we play kind of more often in these kind of competitive games. But from one thing that I was seeing in particular, at least in Dorado's match history, is that their bot lane struggles a lot in a lot of their games. And that's something that Conduit, I think, can abuse. We saw a couple of weeks ago when they played TFF Evernight that once they started bullying the bot lane, Conduit just turned it on. Now, they got smashed in their first game by TFF Evernight, but then they smashed the next 2 games. So if they still have that in mind, they 2-0'd last week as well. So if they're still riding that momentum, this is going to be a very difficult game for Dorado, and I am a little worried for them. I'm not going to lie, but I will keep faith for them anyways, because I am a Dorado fanboy, because I have been a Dorado fanboy since I first started casting them like 2 years ago. So I'm going to go in with that belief, though. And are you ready for our favorite game?
Yes, this is the one where you give me several large bags of money, right?
Oh, do I look like I have money? I don't. I don't. We broke. We broke. No, I'm just kidding. All right. So, for those of you who are new here, we are going to do a Dragon Guest Soling game. You guys can check and play as well. Korak, I think neither of us got it right last week. So, what are you thinking for, or 2 weeks ago, but what are you thinking for this Dragon Soul?
I'm gonna quadruple down. I'll eventually be right. You know, a wrong clock at 12 o'clock will at least be right twice a day. So I'm gonna go with Cloud Soul once again.
Okay. And I'm going to go Mountain Soul because it would be absolutely miserable for Dorado if it ended up happening. Also, because Silent with Mountain Soul is really funny. But that'll do it for us. So when we come back, we'll be on the way for game 1. Don't go anywhere.
Alrighty, DBZ, here we go. Moving into game number 1, match 1 between Dorado and Conduit. Dorado sticking on the blue side and Conduit now in the red. I don't expect anything too crazy. Not sure what the plan is here.
This is
I don't know if someone disconnected. Or we're just hanging out. We're chilling. We're dancing. Okay.
Oh, wait.
Over on the other side, it looks like Gwen is taking an absolute beating on the other end. Camille coming in, grabbing a first blood. That's a little bit devastating to start things off. We were distracted. The rest of the team was distracted by the dance-off in mid, but things were much more violent in the river DPC.
Okay, so that was absolutely hilarious. So, we're watching mid lane, like, they're having a dance off, and then suddenly Gwen in the jungle is like getting like absolutely murdered in her own jungle. And it's like, oh, okay, well, she's just dead. Good news is, though, we did save the ghost. She didn't have flash anyways. It's like typical nowadays where she won't take it. Now, the funny thing is that first blood went to, who did we not like in this draft? The Camille. So potentially that could change something going into this early game, giving them a little bit of an advantage. Looks like the Kelly G did not decide to reset though, but they will have that extra gold going towards that Sheen, because once you get Sheen, oh man, is playing against Camille not fun.
Well, in this early stage, Camille may not crazy need it into Sion, while Sion has a lot of really good trades. He's a lot like Ornn to where he can get some first bloods. It's not crazy likely, but it does happen more than people like to admit. But as long as Camille continues to trade back and forward and doesn't pick up too many Qs to the face, they should have a damage advantage to start off with. The tankier and tankier Sion gets, the harder that will be. But I do like this holding on to the gold, but I don't like the constant grabbing the Qs. I guess the shields are helping, but it still hurts.
Yeah, I think the shields are helping. But that level 2 now ticked over. She's going to be able to, get that W shield going, kind of sustain some of that damage. In the bottom lane, it's going pretty much as expected because it's Caitlyn Karma. They can poke out the Maokai pretty easily, blah, blah, blah. We've seen the story all the time when it comes to a Karma in a lane. They always get the poke advantage. That Mantra Q is by far one of the most ridiculous ability in the game because of how much damage it can do and how much poke it can provide. And with that, I mean, that just kind of gives you the advantage anyway. So Mustard and Gremlin here, I'm expecting this lane to go in their favor. There's, like I said, there's the Mantra Q just poking out these two champions, and they're going to rinse and repeat, keep up this pressure, probably have to force their jungler to come down at some point, but it's going to be a little while before that happens as she's pathing bot to top right now, just finishing up that red buff. So we could see a top play first, but does have the flash on the Camille, so it would be pretty risky, and Sion is slowly starting to push away from where the Gwen is. Nope, never mind, now Camille is.
CS seems to be about even across the board. I don't think anyone has any particularly crazy leads either way. But starting things off strong, it looks like we're going to get a tether, locking down the other end as Nil's able to get out, but just barely. That objective is gone, sure that ability is gone. And that's going to be a second flash down for Conduit. Dorado said, shut up, DBZ, hold my beer. We're coming out swinging for sure. That's a lot of resources down on Conduit's end.
This is generally what I expect out of a lot of these Dorado teams as well. They usually play all really aggressively, no matter what elo it is. I've watched them from gold all the way to NACL, and they like to play aggressive. So it's a pretty on brand for this organization and getting a lot of poke down, as you can see. Just Nella just taking way too much damage there. Has to back off. Was forced to burn both summoners early. Lux also as well, burning the flash when Choco showed up. So it's these little individual advantages that Dorado is getting right now and can play a role going into this first streak in the next 40 seconds. I guess we don't know what it is as of yet, but we'll find out what that is. Thank you, Riot Games, for respecting. Oh, it's Chemtech. Hey, how about that? Thank you, Observer, for that one. Respect that.
Well, we're both definitely wrong again. I'm definitely still going to continue to get Cloud Soul until we get it, or maybe the one time I do it, we're not going to get it. But I do like this. The poke on, of course, the Maokai is going to make it really, really hard for him to go in. As I mentioned before, in the draft phase, he is not the tankiest of sort of the beef supports. He does have a little bit of health regen with that passive, which is pretty helpful. Twisted Advantage is still very, very powerful, but if Karma is able to launch Empowered Q after Empowered Q, it's going to make it very difficult for them to make their way in. CSing still pretty close to even. It looks like across the board. Camille's doing a little bit better than I expected, getting her first back, so this first item is going to be really, really important. Probably going to be the Sheen. Yep, there it is, right on call. DBZ did indeed call it as the Drake spawns in the background.
Okay, so I actually kind of assumed we would have. Okay, so in my head, I was thinking maybe we back at some point get Call first, but no, we're getting Sheen and Call. So we're really trying to press that snowball. And oh my goodness, Domination might be dead and is in fact dead.
Oh.
Buster gets the kill.
Okay. I literally blinked and they were gone. A little bit devastating. Nothing real happening top. It looks like we did get Scion hit in the level 6. Camille's just a tiny bit behind, but did finally get their hands on it. Now Camille has her full kit ready to go. If she's able to burst people down, that would be something really great to capitalize on. But the big thing here is Conduit. They have plenty of opportunities to play it slow. Right now they're losing one Drake, but that's not the worst thing. They not only have Scion, but they have Gwen and they have Sivir. The mid phase and the late phase definitely belong to Conduit, you know, unless Dorado just has an absolute, you know, one-sided continued battle over and over. Camille and Callie G trading back and forward into Dax. Dax trading, doing the same thing, grabbing another Q, but I don't expect too much as they both lose pretty close to identical HP, but Camille does have 2 biscuits out and ready to go.
Okay, so a couple of things happen there. The Drake was taken on the other side of the map, as we saw. And currently, we're sitting at a 1,000 gold lead for Dorado as well. And of course, that's a Mountain Drake. That's not going to go me. But that is going to be up and available. And like I said, burning those summoners from the Maokai. And when they killed the Sivir, that opened up that play for them. So they secure that early Drake. And if they get this next one, that starts a good dragon stack, and I think that's very good. They can keep up with that tempo. Right here in the bottom lane, Sivir is down 12 CS and a kill. So this Mustard feeling really good. You know, your Caitlyn's accelerated. So Dorado, what do? We keep up this pressure. We kind of keep the Prokin and the prodding a little bit. Abuse some of these timers that are currently down. For instance, Nella's flash is going to be up in the next like minute. Then you have Lux that still doesn't have flash right now. We can start, you know, using some of these timers. But at the same time, they might just farm it out, get these little advantages here and there, or we might just kind of all in here. Camille wins this.
Absolutely, and there's just no way for Dax to get out of this. The flash does come through, but there is going to be the Feats of Warfare claimed by Dorado. Dorado coming out swinging. Camille sitting at 2-0 into Scion, but we've got to remember, this is a Scion, so this is very, very deceptive. You can beat him to death. He can be 0-10, and at the end of the day, he's still going to be a Scion, but Camille can leverage that gold to put the hurt on Conduit, and hopefully that's the plan. Tether comes out looking for a bit of damage on Neela. Neela going down about half HP. Caitlyn absolutely chunks with this Karma as we get a little bit of a double gank in the mid lane.
Yeah, using Lux ultimate to clear the way, but this is what I was talking about. Karma and Caitlyn can abuse this Maokai. Once the root is down, you just throw the net, the Q onto it, and you deal so much damage onto this Maokai, you can't even blink. And it forces Nella into these awkward situations where, you know, you cannot move forward, because otherwise you will just kind of die like this. If that net hits, Nella was dead. That just, without a doubt, they were just dead there. Oh, grubs are happening. Hello.
We're starting the grubs. It looks like Guo was able to get at least 2 of them, so they got the lion's share, but however, Dax is stuck here, kind of holding the bag, and we don't have ultimate or really anything else to get out of that. Should have plenty of damage to take him down. There he is. Chucko able to pick up a little bit of gold, and I think that's going to be a good idea, starting to diversify a little bit of that gold will be super helpful for sure, as more plates get absolutely chunked in the bot lane, and this is one of the reasons why Caitlyn is so scary, and in my opinion, is very, very game warping, because if you're not constantly ganking her, she's just going to continue to push the lane over and over and over, especially with the fact of their combo against the Sivir and the Maokai.
Now, I'm wondering, we're getting advantages all over the map. I see what the Udyr build is so far. It looks like we're going into that weird Leandries into Bruisery build, if I remember what it is correctly. But lots of damage here. Domination in this exact position before ended up dying as a result of a play, but looks like that they will be able to get out of here. I would think now it's like we gotta just take the L and reset here. They're getting a lot of tower damage on here anyway, and with that one grub that they got from earlier, that could benefit them into chipping away at this tower more and more. As Callie G here on the top side gonna spot the Gwen and go for it.
Kelly G is indeed closing the distance, activating the ultimate. Wow. This is going to be another dead Gwen. Kelly G picking up her 3rd kill, sitting at 3-0. Going to run almost into a Lux Q, which would have been devastating. We're going to take a little bit of a love tap from Scion, but definitely worth the trade. Definitely worth slowing down that jungler, especially after that objective has gone. We are level 6 now, which means we do have On the Hunt, and we do have Nature's Grasp on the other side. And I think a lot of this is going to turn into kind of one of those scenarios where it's be careful who you pick on in high school. And in this case, starting off, Dorado is definitely the bully early on, and they need to keep essentially, I guess, the nerd in this case down.
Wow. Okay. This heavy trading right here. You have the Sheen and the Phage in the kit. Running out of mana though, so it will end up backing up. The TP is available, but the Dragon is available in 20 seconds time. We have the bot push right here. Looks like Syndra is going to catch this wave. Lux is going to most likely TP back anyways. And this bot lane, once again, has just been proven to be absolutely brutal for this Sivir and Maokai. You even have Udyr down here as well, and going to take a little bit of chunk damage there. And Nella, once again, is going to be forced to back off. They probably won't because they have heal, but they might try to make a play here while Udyr starts this Drake. Syndra is pathing over, and it might be gone before they even react to this play. Oh.
Nature's Grasp is going to activate. We're going to try to lock down Mustard and the other side. Twisted Advance onto the support. Trying to lock them down. Gwen comes in, but unfortunately it doesn't look like they have the damage as Gwen gets absolutely nuked, followed by Sivir.
Oh my god.
For Lux, but it doesn't matter as Chucko is now in the back line, taking down the Lux, and that's going to be a lot of kills. Back and forward, Caitlyn now sitting at 3-0. Our score 8-1. Dorado looking great in game number 1 so far.
All right, so they're starting out really great. However, I am going to preface this that 2 weeks ago when Conduit Eclipse played for us on stream, they got mollywopped in game 1 and then stomped in games 2 and 3. So this might be the warm-up game once again. All right, so with that in mind, I mean, obviously not to discredit Dorado. They're playing really well. They're taking their timings really well as well. They get the second Drake. It's Cloud Soul, so there you go. You got your Cloud Soul out of it now. How do you feel?
I'm absolutely elated. It doesn't sound like it. It may not seem like it, but I am the picture of absolute happiness. I finally won this. I'm going to go to Disneyland, and I'm going to tell everybody I've won this tiny mini game, which means so much to me. But indeed, we did see that upset that Conduit did. And, you know, sort of with a lot of the different Conduit's teams, I'm a little bit more familiar with Conduit than I am with Dorado overall. I've seen a lot of different Conduit plays. I even did another Conduit game literally yesterday. Callie G going to take an ultimate directly to the face, going down about half HP. Gwen now on the hunt, trying to lock them down. A little bit of damage. We are able to dodge a couple of things, but are we able to get out in time? Callie G just barely threading the needle, able to get out on time as Mrs. Outplay Button tries to do a little bit of damage onto the Lux.
Now, I'm just going to casually throw out there that NBK might die here if they get a little cheeky. Oh, we're flashing.
Oh, maybe not. Chunko going in, trying to take out this Lux. What a smooth transition and play. Chunko smelt blood in the water and capitalized on it sooner rather than later. Now Mustard is pushing this T1, looking for another plate. This will be her third plate, 3 kills and 122 CS. This is quite the fed, Caitlyn.
Yeah, and actually, speaking of CS, like, Syndra is pretty much 10 CS a minute. Caitlyn is almost there as well. They're up so much gold right now. 1,500 in the bottom lane. Top lane is pretty expected right now. And 1,000 in the jungle as well. And looks like 600 in the mid lane. But wow, I mean, that's pretty nuts. Like, Dorado Gaming playing very well. They're 5,000 gold up at 14 minutes. I take it back. We are at 13:56. It is not 14 minutes yet. And they're up 6,000 gold, basically. Turret plates are now fallen. Gwen is here in the bottom lane. Objective bounties are active. Dorado Gaming playing very well in this first game.
Absolutely, but we've got to keep in mind this whole time something is going to continue to build up in the background. This Scion's going to continue to get beefier, and Gwen, you can almost never count out the Gwen because at some point it's like flicking on a switch. Gwen just starts to 1v9. But the other thing though too, you know, I got to keep pointing back to is Caitlyn is very game warping. At this point, if Conduit doesn't begin to shut her down, they're going to have a problem. Camille could potentially fall off just sort of as the game goes on. Miss Outplay Button is going to be sort of consistent throughout the game in a lot of different ways. But, you know, Caitlyn is the biggest thing that I'm worried about. We've got to find an angle to lock them down for sure.
And it looks like there's quite a bit of shenanigans happening on near the Raptors. I'm assuming the Chucko was there just invading. But we've been watching all this trading happening back and forth between Callie G and Nitro decks. Like, it's been so much damage every time that Empowered Q goes through, and it's starting to chunk through this health bar. And we even stopped the back just because we're being rude, and you know what? I respect that. But it looks like they're going to try to make a plan with the Rift Herald that is up now. We have a lot of movement up on this way. Gwen and Maokai are in the area as well as the Lux. They will back them up. The first tower was secure, and that'll give them feats.
in a little bit of trouble. Sion trying to come in for the advance, but it looks like Kali G is going to intercept it, and Choco's going to go on the other side. There is Nature's Grasp, but it doesn't matter. We're going to avoid it completely. That's a double kill on Kali G, having to run away from Sion, but so is the Maokai. The Q is good. We should have another Q here for Lux, trying to slow them down, trying to buy a little more time, but ultimately the objective falling to the other side. Another Q coming in. Kali G coming in now to try to knock down Neela, gonna take him down. The ultimate did not turn the tide as Mustard takes the T1 in bot lane.
Okay, so Mustard ended up taking the tier 1, getting first tower, which also secured feeds for them. They were gonna get it anyways once they got Rift Herald, but they now have the feats of strength completed. They're gonna get this tower in the mid lane with the Rift Herald. Lux is just dead. Goodbye,
there's just
my
no way.
son.
Jelly in, tower down, and Lux, most importantly, out. There was really just no getting out of that. Chucko continuing to lay down the pressure as Guo has to go over the wall, not even safe inside his own jungle. That's devastating. And look at that T2 already. Where this is almost a dead T2 at 16 minutes, DBZ.
Okay, and I want this team to relax, guys. Go back and spend your gold. You have Dragon in 28 seconds. We kind of stayed on the map for a little too long, and we delayed some of these returns on the map. Saying we delay maybe taking some of this control as well, as Udyr is going to stay for one more crab. Okay, maybe it doesn't have an item yet, but that's fine. But it looks like that Gwen is not even going to give this the time of day. She's going to stay on the top side of the map, take away some cams, get some resources, get some gold back in her pocket, and probably just kind of forego this Drake. There's no point dying over one Cloud Drake, so I understand. And I think it's the right call. Gives your team a chance to kind of farm up a little bit as well. Looks like the tier 2 did end up falling in the bottom lane. Tier 1 is pretty much needs to be sneezed on, but they want to make a play on a Kali G instead, as this Camille is going to get really cheeky again.
Well, and she has a lot of leeway to be cheeky because this is a 7-0 Camille, but it looks like we're looking for a 3-man gank. We've got jungle and support. Maokai here going in, Dax to try to clear the wave, but this is a whole 1 minion. The Q does come down, and still, we're not going to do anything to yet. I'm surprised just really nothing's happening. We are going to go for the Drake on the other end. Good call, grabbing that third Drake, continuing to keep those advantages if they're able to get their hands on Soul, even if we get a lot of scaling on the other end. Look at the Dax absolutely getting chunked. However, Neela going in, trying to buy time. The Twisted Advance is good. The Q is good. Buying Sion more and more time, but now he's going to go for Predator Prey. The Q, therefore, a little bit of a feigning retreat as Neela is absolutely taking a good chunk of damage. Another Q is good, and they might just be good enough. I don't think you want to dive this, Kali G. A little bit of emote spamming, keeping up the BM, but that was a 1v2 as Gwen finally makes their way back top lane.
Yeah, there's a lot of movement up here from Dorado as well. We're TPing back onto this, and they just want to save this tower. And I think they're just going to pay for it, potentially. We did get the Gwen ultimate out. We have a lot of people coming up this way.
Chucko going in, popping the flash, but the Nature's Grasp is good. This is a very, very smooth Maokai. However, Dax left here holding the bag. The Q is down, but so is the tower as he absolutely gets melted and taken down already into his passive, because this is a 5-man gank trying to keep the man down.
Okay, so we're fighting a lot. It is a 10,000 gold lead at 18 minutes, in case anyone was wondering. Dominion was pushing in the mid lane, trying to get that objective bounty down, make the mid lane longer for themselves. But look at the gold. Oh my Lanta. Is that almost a 4,000 gold lead that I am seeing on my screen on one person? That is insano mode. Absolutely insano mode. Kali G just on this community. Okay, obviously we doubted it because, you know, but Kali G played the matchup exactly as they needed to. Just keep bullying the Sion and if you just kind of win, getting as much gold as possible. There are 2 items. Well, pretty much everyone else has 2 items as well, but they're sitting on 2 items really strong with the upgraded boots as well. Got to be working on what I assume is the stairs gauge next. And with the healing she has, she's just not going to die. She's going to be absolutely absurd. Now, it's up to Conduit in this instance to decide what they're going to do, because Otacon is coming up in 20 seconds, but I don't foresee them getting it unless Gwen gets second item.
No, especially not if we get caught inside the jungle. This Gwen is really struggling in game number 1. Now see that 0-5 Sion has to ult away, but that's going to be a powerful tool no longer in their shed. But at the very least, it's not a dead Sion, as Otacon should fall to basically for free on the other side.
It looks like they're not even gonna just commit the whole team to it. They're gonna save this mid lane tier 1 instead. Yeah, okay, I guess they got it just fine. But they're going to save the mid lane tier 1 and kind of keep up this pressure. 11,000 gold now, and even with this Otacon, it'll make it feel like it's like 12,000 gold but my word, this will be probably the biggest Goldie that you and I have seen, and it was this way 2 minutes ago. Like, this is the most insane Goldie we've seen, I would think. Absolutely absurd. Dorado's playing very well.
Going in, Neela's like I said, I'm a real big fan of Maokai's support. I think Neela's playing such a perfect example, providing so much space for them. Chucko into Dax. Dax finally actually has a match that he can win, but the problem is hitting those Qs are going to be so difficult. We no longer have the ultimate. It looks like here's comes Karma to put the final nail in the coffin, taking down Dax. Chucko got to be feeling happy about that one. Didn't even really need the help. That was pretty much a 1v1 as the Scion goes down, as the waves get cleared, and Caitlyn gets a little bit of CS off of the fake Scion.
I've been watching around the map while that was going on, and just Dorado just pushing everywhere else on the map. The top lane tier 2 fell. Hold on a second. We're fighting.
Nature's Grass into Twisted Advance, as there's just no chance for Neela to get out of it. Gwen trying to go for the back line, trying to make the Gwen plays, but you were down 0 and 5 and about 10k, and now you're going to be hunted down on the other side. I don't think you're going to get away. No, you are indeed going to fall to pieces. Poor Guo really continuing to struggle.
Oh man, it's just, what can you do? It's a wallet diff entirely. This is a 12,000 goalie to 21 minutes. They're gonna break open the base actually, and even get an inhibitor off this as well. I would say it's a little early, but at the same time, nope, you're 13,000 gold up. You have 2 towers getting ready to fall. Actually, they're just gonna try to win the game here.
Kali G goes in on domination, absolutely rocking them as the T3 melts just as much. There's going to be ultimate there for Dax, but it's not going to be good. Now he's left here holding the bag. There's the ultimate for Lux, as we might get Chucko down, but no, it's just not going to be enough as fake Scion here to duke it out with the other end. Chucko not allowing him to get close. It looks like Mustard getting a little bit too close to the other end. Gwen goes in. Gwen's still on this hunt. Try and take it back. There it is. There's going to be the first shutdown, but can they do anything else with it? But the roots are good. Locking down Guo. Chucko going back in. This autoplay button does take her out as Syndra. And we get a good chunk of damage off as Neela. Left here holding the bag. And Kali G taking down domination on the other end. And this game number 1 might already be over. Yeah, maybe we can. I guess we're low.
Yeah, health bars are a little low, but that's okay. They get 2 inhibitors at the end of the day. No. Y'all didn't hear it, but our producer said winnable, and the 1,000 gold shutdown went onto the Gwen. That's the good news. So that could propel her a little bit of gold. 1 and 7 now, unfortunately, on this Gwen, and just hasn't had really much impact this game. But at the same time, Dorado's just been everywhere. They've played incredibly well. They've played the map really great. Their macro has been clean. Their timings of taking fights has been good. And now, usually when you're this far ahead, you can kind of just send it whenever you want. Sure, they lost 1 member in that last fight, but then we saw even at low health bars, they were still just convincingly winning them.
And there is going to be the Cloud Soul, which the entire team on Dorado's end is really going to love for a million different reasons. You know, I can't even point out one person in particular who really enjoys it a whole bunch. Chucko going in, making advantage of that movement speed, absolutely nuking the Lux. There's going to be a dead Lux. We already have a number advantage, 2 backs as we try to get a little reset because your base is in danger. Chucko going down to clear out a little bit of the wave, and we're now going to continue to pressure in the fountain turrets. And the thing is, we've got Caitlyn here. We've got the range. We've got the damage. These towers are absolutely going to melt, and we have the beef to tank it if we want to as well.
Yeah, and I think they're just kind of going to walk these waves in, doing a lot of poke damage on the back as well. These Nexus towers, they have to go.
Nature Scraps coming in, but I think it's not going to be able to do too much as we're not fighting underneath the turrets. Chucko going in. This is going to be a 5v4 as everybody begins to melt. Nitro going to get taken down there over on the background. His corpse is still fighting out, but I think this game is over. Fountain turrets going down as someone respawns. Gray screen does in, but still a lot of back and forward. So much damage, so much gold, and we're not even going for the Nexus. We're trying to pad our stats and get a couple of more kills. Killing them underneath the fountain. And there it is. Game number 1 falls to Dorado. It looks like Dorado took it personally, DBZ.
Yeah, just a little bit, it seems. Okay, so
what was that? I missed that.
I don't know.
14 kills,
something like that. Okay, so that was absurd and obscene from what we saw. See, even Zol's like he's gonna get the whip. Like the two deaths, one tower. He's gonna get the whip. They're gonna get that for the next game. But they played incredible that whole game from start to finish. It's like I was looking at their stats from other games, only other games in the league, and it's like there's no way this is the same Dorado. But maybe does this start the conversation of maybe the other group is more competitive? I don't know.
I'm not going to count Conduit out. I counted them out in game number 1 the previous week that you were here, and they just told me to shut up, and they turned the game around. And Chucko's actually in chat saying that we've still got this. So, maybe they got something cooking up. Maybe they're going to hit that same caffeine that they were able to hit last time, but we won't know until the rubber indeed meets the road. So we're going to go into a quick break while we herd the cats, the players, into the game. Pay attention to the timer if we have one. Should be about 2 to 3 minutes, though, and we'll be right back.
日本にはまだある？急がないと在庫があるのはそこだ。遅かった。そのフィギュアを一つだけ譲ってくれんやろか。お前はだよ、同志じゃねえか。もちろん取引しようや。ありがとう、全マーケット。
Alrighty, from break number 1, moving into draft number 2. It looks like we're going to start off strong. Dorado taking the first game in quite the dominant performance. And small correction, I made a little mistake. I called Chucko. I said Chucko was on Conduit's team. That is not correct. He is on Dorado. So small little error fix right there. It looks like our sides are indeed going to be swapped. Conduit sitting on the blue side, and of course Dorado in the thematic red, fitting the Dorito theme, which I'm sure they're going for. They never heard that joke before. But now we're moving into draft. Any sort of early predictions before we really kick things off, DBZ?
Really, because it's not like pro play or even tier 2 where it's like you kind of have an idea of what's going to be first picked, because I never would have guessed anyone picked Karma first B1 in a competitive game before. Maybe back when she was broke, but like not now. But hey, it worked out for the better. But we're flying through these bands. It looks like we got the Smolder, Jarvan, and I imagine we'll probably still see the Jinx band away as well. And we have, oh, they're gonna be Orianna instead. And it's going to be the Jinx now, Aphelios and Aurora. It looks like Conduit wanted to leave it open so they could pick it, so they're gonna slap the Wukong instead. I think there's still the Vi available if they want to go for that. If you're feeling psycho, then maybe, you know, something along the lines of Pantheon. But there's some options I think that Dorado have for this game. They looked really good on the Udyr in the previous game, but I'm really curious where the pool like goes from here.
Well, we do have Wukong. The traditional answer to Wukong is Zen, so I'd be very surprised if we don't see that for a million different reasons. Orianna is not here, which means there's going to be two very good ball delivery systems out of the deal. We can respond with someone like Jarvan, but I think Zen is a little bit more traditional into Wukong. It's going to be Kai'Sa starting off for Dorado. Dorado very, very happy to pick that up, and I don't blame them. Their Caitlyn performance was really, really phenomenal, and I think Kai'Sa has a lot of options to play with. I think she's pretty powerful. Not as powerful as Caitlyn, but she can be in the right scenario as we hover the second pick. Yep, there it is in.
Okay, so there's the Zin's out, like you said. The Kai'Sa is also a takeaway in a way as well, because Wukong can also bring Kai'Sa into fights. So if that was something the Conduit was going to look forward to, now they can't. They have to kind of take another avenue. Now, from there, we might see the 80 carry pick from here. There's still a lot of different carries that could be played. You have things like Jhin, which I would be okay, I guess. I say Zaya's another one. Yunara is also available as well, but they go ahead and go for the Zaya. They could just take Rakan right now if they want to complete the combo. Otherwise, it might just get banned away in the second phase. But I think picking Rakan here, I think would be the move if you're a Conduit at the moment, but they're taking their time. 15 seconds left to go. If they don't decide to pick support here, then I guess maybe we could pick mid, but I don't think it would be. Yeah,
Horns
okay,
up.
never mind.
That's Rakan. Okay, so we're going with Rakan. And I do like Rakan here. Rakan's very, very good into not only Kai'Sa, but Zen. But on his team, of course, you know, very, very good with Zaya, but also plays off of Wukong very, very well. So there's a lot they can play with. There's a lot of maneuverability. Of course, they're not as tanky. They're not as beefy as they were previously. But, you know, just watching the Maokai play and watching how well, I believe it was Nella. Yeah, Nella, the support for Conduit, played on Maokai. I think if they can play Maokai at that level, they can play Rakan. Rakan has a bit of a higher skill floor, in my opinion, than Maokai, but I do think we have the ability for it for sure, so I'm liking that appearance. Another classic pick. We're going to go from Kai'Sa to Zen to, of course, Nautilus to lock them down. Really great pick for that. Can delay, which means that Conduit's going to need to step up their beef in either their mid or their top lane in order to keep this going forward. But maybe the idea is to sort of play off of the Zaya, right? Because Zaya wants the team to come into them. That way they can pop their feathers, they can do their ultimates, and just absolutely devastate. Featherstorm is what it's called. Pop the Featherstorm and just do a good amount of damage and absolutely take people out. First, last couple of bans are going to be the Galio, makes sense. The Rise, who has been, you know, no pun intended, on the rise in a lot of different ways. The Akali, sort of similar situation, but and then of course the Yone. And we're going to go into Ornn. I do like this because it denies it from Conduit.
Yes, especially with the Wukong Ornn combo as well. And I was kind of staring, kind of going back to the bans for a hot second. It's like, if we're banning Galio and Rise, are we planning on playing Victor, I wonder? And with the Ornn blind, that does mean that, like, okay, well, we see that. You know, we can pick something kind of strong in the top lane. Oh, I completely forgot about Mel. Mel has also weirdly risen in priority the past, like, few weeks as well. I think even,
I think she got buffed too.
Yeah, and I think it was the tail end of Worlds is like kind of what kind of propelled her rise in like pick again. She's really obnoxious to play against. She's very, very strong. If she gets too far ahead, it just becomes miserable, and she can stop a lot of engage as well with her root. And from there, that leaves Conduit with a couple of options. You know, they could pick. Oh god, they could pick Aatrox, I guess, if they wanted to. There's also Mbessa that's still available. Urgot, I think, is really good as well.
Okay.
It can make Ornn's life living hell up there in the top lane, so I think that's actually fine. It's like a pseudo ranged matchup, I would say, because obviously with the shotgun links you want to get close. And from there, that leaves Dorado with what they want to pick for mid. So they had the Cinder in the previous game. From there, I mean, you have, again, Victor is available if you want to. Aurora's off the table because you banned it. There's Ahri. You also have, okay, well, there's Victor. Okay, there it is.
And I don't think that fits quite as much unless you're going for a little bit of area denial, which Victor is very, very great, especially for those neutral objectives, and that is going to pair well with having to worry about Zen popping in, Nautilus popping in, and of course Call of the Forge God on Ornn. That can fit that. It can either start off those fights or push people into situations they don't want to be, to where either you take Call of the Forge God or you take the stun from Victor. Then of course Victor's ultimate too, really to pair with it. But Conduit, I do like this. They're going for a very disruptive team. Wukong is sort of good just in general with almost everybody. That Armor Shred is just universally powerful for a lot of different reasons. It's a reason why it's a constant pick over and over. But the Xayah and the Mel and even Urgots are in a lot of different ways just this anti-engage, or at the very least they'll punish you for engaging. Because one of the biggest things that I will continue pointing out until I die, or until they nerf or remove the ability entirely, is the Solar Snare. The E on Mel is very, very powerful. It just stops people dead in their tracks, and that's only one part of their kit.
Yeah, and especially if you know how to play really well, which I imagine Shinja does, it's going to be very hard for this Victor, who's also really immobile. Not so much for the Kaisa, because she can kind of kite her way out of it, but everyone else, like Xin Zhao wants to go forward, also can reflect the hook from Nautilus, and there's just lots of things that this Mel can do to be very disruptive in a lot of these fights. And if she gets way too strong, can absolutely melt some of these squishier members. Now you do have Xin Zhao and Ornn, so there is a universe where, maybe with their frontlining that they can provide a lot of safe engage, because in the previous game, Dorado had no frontline basically, and just absolutely mollywopped. Conduit, not really, but they're still pretty beefy. Wukong and Urgot can be pretty beefy boys up there, but there's still a lot of room for this Ornn to be the difference maker, especially because now this is a completely polar opposite matchup from the Camille in the previous game.
Yeah, and one of the big things that propelled the entire game for Dorado going forward, even though, DBZ and I were super against it in the draft phase, was the Camille. Camille Cali G specifically put in a lot of work. And, I guess if you get like 7-0 at like 12 minutes, then it almost doesn't matter who you're playing. But on Camille, they were able to leverage that. Either way, we should be getting into spectator delay here in a couple of minutes, I believe. So we're going to go into a little bit of a tiny break, and we'll be right back.
See you later.
Is that all you've got to say?
for us. My people look on and say, don't fear what you don't know, 'cause we're far from certain fate. We'll make our final stand, lost in the dark. We've come so far, another step to rid the pain. Go and be counted till you're lost in, 'cause only nightmares break their flames. So stand upon these fallen lands and follow in our Father's plans. Yeah, until the end we will remain, and we'll hold on until the last So stand upon these fallen lands and follow in our Father's plans. Yeah, until the end we will remain, and we'll hold on until our last fellow armsmen, I ask you, will you follow me tonight to break their spine and reclaim what once was mine? Those cravens backstabbed me, deceived me, never shall I tolerate.
Welcome back, everybody, to Aegis AEL. It's your fun Thursday night. We have Conduit Eclipse on the blue side, and we have Dorado Gaming Iota on the red side. It is me, DBZ, the color, the one who yaps probably the most, and the other yapper, we have Korak, as well as both these teams getting a little cheeky with their level ones once again. Nautilus kind of chilling in the cut. Will be
Flash coming in, followed by Hook there by Gremlin, but we're going to immediately return into a knock-up as as Rakan goes in. Guo looking for a little bit of kill, but I don't think we're going to get a Nautilus this early in the game, despite the fact he's already about half HP, but that is going to be a flash down. We should have Hex Attack. Yeah, it looks like we do have Hex Attack Flash, so that's not the biggest thing blown, and, you know, I think it's worth to fish it out.
honestly, yeah, I guess. I mean, they wanted to get Sinja's Flash as well, but did not end up getting it. They also got the Raptor Ward that they were looking for. No response for that vision on the other side, just that ward in the river. There was a lot of response, like Guo was getting ready to head down there, but nope, they just kind of, NBK and Gremlin just walk on out of there. So, starting off with level 1 shenanigans once again. The waves are now starting to crash. Shinja's going to be just a little late to this lane, but it should be fine. Now, these junglers, as we said, you know, Wukong, Xin Zhao, it's a classic matchup. We've seen it multiple times throughout this year. Xin Zhao, of course, just recently getting reworked as well. And Xin Zhao is a really strong champion, farms really well. Is this going to be the classic where we kind of have Xin Zhao kind of farming it out, or are we gonna have like the being on the map everywhere? And Zinzao typically needs to be on the map everywhere, as we saw heavy trading there up on the top side. Cali G again on a completely different matchup, but we're waiting to see what they're able to pull off in this game.
There it is. Nell going back in, popping the knockup, running directly into the face. And this is kind of, in my opinion, how you should be using Rakan. Rakan is such a great magnet for absorbing these hooks, for acting as a body block in a lot of different ways, because you can escape, of course, with a lot. We did take a good chunk of damage from the little engagement, showing how much Mustard can do on Kai'Sa in the early game, but it is a little bit deceptive. One of the primary things that's going to give you a good indicator on how this bot lane is going to go is pay attention to Nell's cues. If he's able to land them consistently, kind of like how you would expect Braum, it's going to be able to mitigate so much of that damage, all of that work, all of that effort. Because look at this point, even though he's already blown a pot, you know, he's pretty close back to HP, so we've gotten a couple of Qs in the background. Something that's a little more surprising, but looks like DBZ did call it, is Cali G absolutely got chunked to about half HP in Dax. However, he did redeem himself right there at the end, taking, of course, the other side down, taking on the Urgot. I don't know why I forgot the name of the champion, down about half HP as well.
Now, the one thing that's really cheeky about Ornn, of course, is he can just stay in lane and build armor, doesn't have to leave. So it just gets to a point where unless Nitro resets, it's just going to be less and less damage that Cali G is going to end up taking as this laning phase goes on. And that's kind of what I'm wondering, like, do we kind of set ourselves up for maybe a play on the top side where we kind of push the Ornn in? We have no flash here, but they will get away.
Speaking of setup, Nell going down to less than about half HP. The hook is not good. Rakan is very slippery, as it looks like the Scuttle Crab does indeed fall to Chucko, fall to the Zen, as he's immediately going for the second one, looking for that early advantage. Looks like it cost about 4, and it's going to turn into 8, so it's going to be 24 to 32. Yep, there it is, as he backs with a little bit of a gold advantage.
Oh yeah, and Zinzao with the goal advantage, as we know, can be really obnoxious to deal with. It's happened definitely in all the games that we've played against him, and having that tempo advantage is going to prove really well. That hook going wide, unfortunately, but it's worth.
It didn't matter because it follows in immediately a bit of a root there with Gremlin just popping the AA down, and Mustard still continuing to dish out the damage. And if they continue to not get the kill, you know, Nell can really heal that up, but he's got to be hitting these Qs. You need to be always looking for opportunities to get those Qs. That's so powerful. It may not seem like a lot of healing, but it will really dictate the fight. And don't even bother going for Kai'Sa. Just hit Gremlin. Gremlin wants to be in your face anyways.
Yes. I'm getting a little nervous because Gremlin's chilling in a bush. I can smell the want to throw a hook there, but there's that healing you were talking about, end up landing that Q. And that provides, you know, a lot of sustain for this matchup. Neither of these bot laners have pots right now. We have cookies on the Kai'Sa, but, you know, not really pots. But the good news is Kai'Sa didn't burn any summoners, and Nella hasn't had to burn any summoners. The heal was popped a little bit earlier as well, as we see Shinja on the losing end of a trade. But I gotta say, right now, at the moment, with how this is going, we have a 400 gold advantage for, oh, hello.
Solar Snare is good as Guo goes on the background. He does not have level 6 at level 4, so he's a little bit behind the other side, but NBK taking quite the damage as Guo takes a tower shot on his way out, and it doesn't provide as much space as maybe the Mel was hoping, because they're about 1 shot away from getting taken out. They did level up, so that's nice for them. Gremlin going in, unfortunately, leaving domination here to hold the bag and get taken down. The Q does get absorbed by the other, and the barrier gonna get activated along with the exhaust, trying to get the damage, but it's just not gonna be enough. There wasn't enough back and forward, and in my opinion, there weren't enough Qs to get them to a better state. Either way, that is gonna be our first blood falling to Mustard.
Woo-wee, and that's exactly where you wanted to go as well. I mean, Mustard starting off really good in this game. Once again, they're sitting at now over 1,000 gold because they're going to push this wave in. The Xayah is going to lose a little bit of farm. And I thought for a moment there on the top side that things were going to get a little dicey, but I forgot that as an Ornn with D-Shield. Okay, I thought we were going to go for it, but we're keeping it subtle. Cali G might win this if they decide to go for it, but I don't want them to really risk it. I think they're fine just kind of keeping up this pressure, being annoying. Cloud Drake was taken on the other side of the map, which I didn't even get a chance to mention. Oh my lord, yep, there it is.
Ooh, Call of the Forge God gets called in. The flash, unfortunately, is just a little bit too early. However, we don't get the knock-up on Dax as we run away. Drake falls in the background, however, to Dorado, of course, the red side. So nice little consolation prize. Got the first kill and got the first Drake, which is a Cloud Soul.
Yep, but I think he's dead here now, isn't
Solar
he?
Snare coming in. We should have the execute. Yes, indeed, as it looks like Sinja is able to pick up a kill, and Nitro is able to happily chew on this CS and try to catch up to his lane opponent.
So we saw a little bit of a disaster from both these top laners, unfortunately. Both ultimates were used in that play. Callie failing the flash knock up there as well. And at the end of the day, it's a kill for Shinja. Walks up there, roams up. Victor was left alone in the mid lane during that whole time, so gaining a little bit of a CS advantage. Was not able to really push for a plate though, so that's a little bit of the caveat to that. But Dorado currently maintains a 700, 800 gold lead at the moment as this jungler and all these laners just keep farming their way through, kind of garnering those little bit of advantages. This Xayah, no flash, and they know that if Gremlin can get a good hook down, they can just walk at them.
Ooh, Kaisa is 6. We have this advantage. However, Nayla is going to buy some time for his Xayah to deal a little bit of damage. The Q coming in as we're sitting about half HP. We just need about 1 or 2 more Qs to turn that fight around and put it in the advantage. No ultimate for Kaisa blown there. No ultimates on either side blown there. But we do have double 6 on the other end, so we need to be very, very careful. And of course, Domination and Neela really need to get their hands on this 6 before the next fight kicks off.
Oh boy, yeah. Okay, so Domination is 6 right now, and looks like Rakan just hit 6 just now at the moment, so the play is officially dead. There's not like they really could have gone for it anyways, but we also have the Void Grub started on the other side of the map. Zinzao was spotted, but looks like Choco opted into just farming it out. That was really close, but the minions saved them.
Ooh.
It's close. I don't think they should go for this, because if Rakan goes in, he might just get blown up, but they should just kind of, you know, give this up, you know, try to let this wave crash in the tower, let Mustard and Gremlin make the mistake first, because you can tell they're itching for a fight, and they're getting a little impatient because they're throwing in a couple of these spells, I think a little too soon, but they will go ahead and push this in, get a little bit of this River Vision down, clear that, and I guess they didn't do anything. They just walked up and checked. Never mind. So what do I know? They're you know what? Sometimes, if you ever wonder, it's like maybe we say too much and should just let the players do their thing. Have you ever wondered that?
Yeah, no one's called me out on it yet, so I'm going to keep doing it. And then even when they do call me out, I'm going to deny it. Sinji trying to do a little bit of damage, but it looks like he's going to bite off a little more than he can chew.
Oh,
The
my
hook is
lord.
good, knocking down Neela, trying to buy more time. There's Rakan. His ultimate, his Mustard goes over the other side. Feats of Warfare getting claimed by Kaisa, but looks like we're going to get taken down for because Guo is here with the Cyclone and the damage, knocking up Gremlin. There's going to be 1 death, and now we're looking for more as the double Cyclone does hit Gremlin, but can Domination keep up Choco? Trying to get away. The hook is good, but Wukong should have more of his kit up as the camera dramatically switches away from the action.
Looks like that they got out just fine, but wow. Mustard, the one ends up going down at the end of that play, or really at the start, at the middle of that play, because by that point, Guo was on their way down. They were getting ready to make a play there, and it started off a little sooner than we thought. In the meantime, NBK solo killed Sinja. Sinja did burn the flash, and it looks like, I think NBK did as well, so it looks like a flash for flash trade is what ended up happening there. And just again, gold going in Dorado's favor, and in places where it needs to be. 2 on Mustard, 1 on Victor. This is a really good start for this team right now in this. Well, we're getting ready to crest to the mid game, but we're a pretty good early game from them.
Neela running directly into the hook monster. We shouldn't have the damage for it, and it looks like Victor is not in range for it. Going to continue to take hooks after hook, and this is really how Rakan should be played. He should not be too afraid of that hook, and what makes Rakan have this high skill floor, in my opinion, is knowing when to take these hooks and knowing specifically how to get out of them, because the best Rakans just take them continuously over and over to the face and turn into this anti-engage. We've seen a little bit there on Neela. I've been very happy with their performance. They're sitting at 0-2, but that isn't the worst thing. Their team is a little down, and they've tried to buy more and more time for Domination to keep them alive. So many supports in the game are very, very afraid of sacrificing themselves to keep the carries up or to get these objectives, which they should not be. The support, as I've said a million different times, is the chess equivalent of a pawn, where they're powerful, but also super great to sacrifice.
Okay, and speaking of objectives, which we have a dragon up in a couple of seconds, which we did not do Dragon Soul again. Go us. In the meantime, with that, the feats of warfare were claimed earlier by Dorado. You see they're at 3 kills currently. They're working on their second monster objective right now because the Void Grubs were taken earlier by Guo. So this will put them at 2 monsters for the monster slaying feat. They also have been pretty good about these dragons, like in both games as of thus far. 12 minutes now, second Drake. It's going to be a Hextech Soul next for them, and they have a really good dragon stack, but they can fight this.
The hook is good. Going to follow it up with an ultimate, just barely missing domination. But once again, this is why Rakan is so powerful, activating his ultimate, trying to stop Choco, but Choco has to blow an ultimate on as we get a gank there in the mid lane. Overstaying just a little bit for Neela's Mustard picks up a kill, and it turns into a weird inverted trade as a kill happens in mid lane, and of course a kill happens in bot lane, but it looks like Guo is not happy with that outcome, looking for maybe a little bit of a gank.
I think this is risky if we go for this. This is kind of greedy, I would say.
Clone
The Xin Zhao's pretty
picks it
strong.
up. Guo taking, oh man, a lot of damage, especially with Mustard being right there. Mustard sitting at 4-1 might have been a little mistake, but I think at that point he was committed and there just wasn't a way to get out of it. I do appreciate the hustle. I do appreciate the idea, but yeah, giving another kill to Mustard is really going to bite you in the butt.
Yeah, it's sitting at 4-1 right now as well. Has the Kraken Slayer done? Actually, this is getting a little risky now.
Here for the rotation there. The Q should be good. Getting a little bit of health back there on Mel. So, you know, at least a nice little trade, but Mel needs to be very, very careful. Having quite the difficult time trading into Victor. They're sitting at 2-1, so that's going to be nice. And this game should shift pretty dramatically in the team fight phase in about 15 to 16 minutes, especially once Cali G is able to get their hands on level 13 and 14. That's going to be a key milestone for changing the tempo, and that'll be the best opportunity for them to keep it in their favor. I guess they are ahead, so they don't necessarily need to change the tempo.
Yeah, no, but interesting you say that they are ahead. Last game, by this point, 14 minutes in, they were already 5,000 gold ahead. And there are only 1,000 gold up. So that's a victory right there for Conduit. They are not allowing an absolutely absurd snowball to happen. They even have more kills this game than they did in the previous one. But Chucko might be caught.
Nitro getting the flash forward. Guo does go in. Chucko taking a good chunk of damage as there's going to be the first kill and shutdown going to Urgot. The raid boss is slowly beginning to come online as we're looking for a bit of damage here on the tower. It looks like at this point, Neela and Domination are starting to struggle. Urgot should fare quite well into this one as Neela goes in to absorb some of these shots, but unfortunately just the damage is not there. Guo is here maybe looking for a little bit of a cheeky gank, maybe a tower dive, or to steal some of the camps that they're in, which are gone, of course.
Yeah, Black Cleaver is very strong on this Urgot, so it's absolutely melting through the damage of this Ornn, and that's pretty expected once the matchup kind of turns that way. But the dive is going to happen, just like you said. Oh, we're dying bot too.
There it is, Neela absorbing another hook, unfortunately, but Domination just does not have the damage, as it looks like Ornn does indeed get taken down by the armor shred, and of course, by Urgot. Urgot got to be feeling happy with this one, because one of the big things too is if Urgot's able to get his hands on Mustard, he's just going to strangle the life out of them. Urgot is very, very scary, and Mustard needs to be very, very wary of that, because Dorado having, looks like, what, all of their kills, the majority of their kills on top of Mustard is a double-edged sword. Sure, Kaisa is very good at kiting out, dishing damage, capitalizing on those gold advantages, but if you get taken down, all that gold is no longer in the fight.
Yep, and we see here they're holding the tower as long as they can. They get first tower. Once again, that gives them the feats because they got the feats of warfare earlier. So they don't need the next dragon or the Rift Herald here in the next minute to get that. So with that in mind, Dorado, you know, they're still keeping up that tempo. They're abusing this bottom lane once again like they did in the previous game. They got first tower. They got a lot of pressure. Nella sitting at 0-4, but does have the redemption done, and this Rakan is looking to get blown up pretty quickly as the game goes on. That's not something you want to see. Cali G up here kind of backing off because Nitro is very, very strong. Gonna be looking to just hobble away out of here. Yep, should just kind of walk away or not. Yeah.
Dash is good for Cali G as he's able to escape, sitting at level 11, really wanting to get their hands on that level 13 should start to help change things around just a little bit, but they are going to be struggling. Most importantly, though, they've been able to keep up their tower, which you cannot say for the bot lane, as it looks like Domination, Azaya, and Neela have struggled just a little bit. Chaco looking for an angle to try to lock down Shinja. Shinja able to pop down a little bit of a root, buying themselves time, but is it going to be enough? Woe coming in, looking for the blood, looking for the kill, but is not going to overcommit, using the clone for an escape. Ooh.
12 seconds so the Drake is up. This is a very doable play. Nella here is going to be caught out potentially, but should be able to just walk on out of here, or glide on out of here, I guess. But the Zinzao was forced to reset. The Hex Gates are up, so he could come back, but I don't think Shinja might die here.
Ooh. Shinja having to flash over the wall and avoid the ultimate of NBK.
Oh my god!
Unfortunately, the Flash is able to keep the other side as the Cyclone activates, trying to track down Mustard. That Kaisa needs to go down if we're going to turn this fight around. Redemption coming in as the Kaisa does finally get taken down, but do they have enough to follow it up as Domination digging deep here for the damage, but they're entirely here by themselves, using the plant to keep themselves alive, but it's too little too late as they get taken down. Dorado looking good in game number 1, but also 2. However, Dax is here fishing with his ultimate. Nope, okay, nothing's going to happen from it.
Okay. I don't know if he gets anything. He's giving up top pressure for that, and I think Kelly G's going to get a lot of damage down. I won't half the tower down, but should just be able to get on and out of here. The Black Cleaver going to do a lot of work here. Kelly G with the flash as well, taking a lot of damage, but should be fine, maybe. Oh, okay. They're fine.
It's taking quite the beating. We are level 12. Drake is falling once again to Dorado. That's going to be their third Drake, which means they are only one away from claiming that soul, sitting at 29k to 31k. So not quite the stomp that we saw previously. Cali G trading directly into Dax, but that's exactly what Dax wanted, picking up a kill, and now should have free reign on this turret.
I'm going to casually point out that Urgot is level 13, should have 5 points in E right now, which means the shotgun needs never turn off and have a very short cooldown as well. So this guy is really strong, and I think Cali G just underestimated how much damage was available there for the Urgot. You know, the Black Cleaver, once I said, is done. Once that stacks, it's pretty much doomed for the Ornn in this matchups. Oh, wow, that was Mustard going to go for that. That would have been psycho. But they're trying to get some of this river pressure here. Looks like Otacon is going to spawn on the bottom side of the map. So at this point, we just want to keep up as much mid pressure as we can until that spawns or that's available. Try to get some of this advanced vision down. Let Victor be in the bottom lane and scale. And from there, I think Dorado, just if they play their cards right, they're looking pretty good going into this mid to late game. Oh.
Just as soon as DBZ says it, we go into a dramatic pause, but this gives us a moment to sort of look at what we have now so far. It's going to be about 4 minutes or so for the next upcoming Drake, unless this pause lasts for forever. And then, of course, we've got Baron at about 5 minutes and 47 seconds, and Otacon on its way 7 to 10 in the favor of Dorado. Dorado, of course, being in the red, 32k to 33k, of course, also in Dorado's favor. It looks like from this point, Neela is struggling just a little bit on the Rakan, and I think that does make a lot of sense. Like I said, I think Rakan has a deceptively high skill ceiling, I guess, in this case, because what makes a really good Rakan is the ability to just determine when and how you can eat those hooks, and it's such a hard thing to tread. It is such a hard thing to get right. And even though Rakan's sitting at 1 in 5, this isn't the worst for their end. They're not too far behind on CS, and the gold specifically. And the biggest thing is that Urgot is sitting at 3-0. We've got Urgot with the Black Cleaver, and we've got, of course, the Wukong. So that's double armor shred, which will be able to do a whole bunch to Cali G, which is the front line, which will be able to do a whole bunch to Chucko. The biggest thing they need to try to do is they need to try and lock down that Kaisa. That's going to be so important to their victory, DBZ.
So, there's a lot to talk about, obviously, how we expect the later stages of this game to go. I'm gonna roll it back to that dragon fight, just for a moment there, because while that fight was close, it also came at the result of a little bit of an overextension, I think, from Conduit as well, because Rakan and Guo just kind of sent it to go after Mustard. They got the shutdown, sure, but the collapse from the rest of Dorado was just there to the point to where at that point they were just not able to escape. They gave over a lot of kills. They lost the dragon as well. That's again a little bit more of that momentum that I was talking about that they're getting. So I think the reasoning why we're having the pause. Oh, the jungler was lagging, so that's the pause. So we're having some internet issues. So when we're back in game, we'll be getting back into there. But in the meantime, it's interesting to see, like, obviously how night and day these two games are. There's a lot more scrappiness from Conduit. They're able to scrap a lot harder than they could in the previous game. They're abusing flash timers, and this is a lot more calm and calculated than what we saw, a couple of weeks ago when they played TFF Evernight. Granted, they got a lead, they never let go of that lead, but right now they're kind of behind, but we're seeing how they play from behind right now. They're picking their fights really well. Albeit that fight from before was just a little unfortunate. But if they could just kind of keep these advantages that they have right now, use this Urgot to their advantage. Nitro is absurdly strong, so play around Nitro, play around Sinja as well, and they can definitely take us to a game 3. They can definitely make this a very competitive game 2 for Dorado and kind of make it harder for them to win.
Well, and I think it's really important to see people playing behind. Anybody can win when they're ahead, but turning things around when you're behind is a little bit harder, even though the game is really set up for it, right? Spend a lot of time turning things into sort of reverse snowballs, really favoring these turns and punishing overextensions, kind of like we saw with that fight previously. So it is a kind of delicate needle to thread. Hey, the pause is over, at least the first part of it. Now we're hitting pause. Number 2, Electric Boogaloo, moving into this one, but they should have given plenty of times for them to get rid of the lag and hopefully readjust themselves. Conduit is not out of this fight just quite yet, and despite quite the oppressive appearance of Dorado, as soon as Conduit begins to switch, because we're already in the team fight phase, we're a little bit past it, but it looks like Conduit's just struggling a little bit to get into that team fight phase. Now at this point, you need to start utilizing Dax. Dax has so much gold and is so powerful, especially in conjunction with Wukong. And once he starts getting into these fights, it's going to show a whole bunch. And right now, it looks like Kali G hasn't hit 13, but that's going to happen pretty quickly here.
Gonna lose his mid lane tier 1, so that will extend the map a little more as well. Kali G should be close to level 13. We're 19 minutes in, so they should be close. Unfortunately, Nitro is level 14, and we're walking into him. That is really unlucky, but should be able to walk out of this. But there's a lot of movement happening on the top side of the map. There is a whole squad coming for this man.
And I want to point out that was a casual 1,000 damage on top of Kali G, right? Take him down right there. Here is the gank. We do get the item on the other side. Call of Fortune Guard does get called in. Unfortunately, it's not going to be good enough. Dax, this time holding the flash, has a much better escape when it comes to that, as Autocon actually getting started in the background. This could be a mistake for them to grab Autocon this early on. We do have Victor. Victor's so great at just absolutely chunking people, but can he get in there? Can he deal the time? As both top laners are here, it looks like Dorado's finally responding, but will it be in enough time? It looks like we're going to Autocon looks like he's going to get taken down as Autocon pushing out the other side on the other end, just setting up a little bit of Autocon for Dorado. That's going to be frustrating. We try to go in for the steal, but it's too little, too late. Unfortunately, Shinja buying himself a little more time, but not enough time in order to escape from Mustard. Mustard wanting that double kill and is indeed going to take it. Now this T2 and bot is in danger. Dax still has not responded, did not have TP, so he's trying to get what he can for his team when he can.
Wow, Mustard is absolutely popping off in this game. I'm not going to lie, because they're playing really well. Like on the Caitlyn in the first game as well. And then you have the Kaisa in this game sitting at 6-2. Most likely going to have their second item done and then some. So that should be the Rage Blade done along with probably what I assume is going to be... Okay, so we are going Nashor's next. I think the longsword was for the Q upgrade, so that's probably what that was for. But... I mean, again, Mustard is very absurdly strong, and they're playing exceptionally well around Mustard as well. But Mustard kind of just sent it on that last fight, knowing that they're really strong. But we're getting a lot of presence here on the spot side of the map.
Neela and Gremlin duking it out as we're going to go for the Scuttle Crab. The Scuttle Crab will be pretty important to the upcoming fight because we got about a minute and 20 seconds. The hook is good. Trying to lock down the room is also good as Guo gets taken down and absolutely melted by Mustard. Now sitting at 7-2. But the nice thing is Dorado has continued to diversify their gold because not only is Mustard fed, but at this point, so is Victor.
They're just gonna keep on going, honestly, and they can't. But hold on, Dax is here.
Dax is finally here. This can tip the fights. We need to get Urgot into these fights. There's a flash there from Chucko as Nilo tries to buy time for the rest of them to get there. And it's just, unfortunately, not going to be good enough. This is going to be a 4v5 for this Drake sitting at 40 seconds. If we get a reset in time, we might be able to make it. Whoa, 1 second on the clock is now up. So we have an opportunity to turn around if Dax does not get caught.
Want this?
Oh, no.
Oh, my God.
Dax absolutely in danger, which is not what you need. Dax is finally here for the fight, but it's too little, too late. Whoa, able to just barely escape out of that with Cyclone and, of course, his clone. The root is good, trying to lock down Chucko. Chucko going down to about half HP, but this is going to be an uphill battle for Conduit in more than one way.
Oh yeah, and MBK here thrives in these little corridors. This Victor is really good. This Drake is going to be shredded before I think Conduit can even respond. They are clearing out a lot of these wards though, but this Drake is going to be absolutely destroyed. You have Kai'Sa on 2 items. You also have Xin Zhao doing Xin Zhao things. They could just get this really quickly, but they have to go for the 50-50, otherwise they just lose the soul.
Shinja taking a good chunk of damage, duking it out with Victor as it looks like Ornn going in, locking down the Wukong. Gonna take him out because not only does Drake fall the other side, but so does the other one. Call of Fortune coming in, trying to lock down. Shinja absolutely melted him down as MBK dealing a lot of damage on the other side. Rakan gonna fall next. Dax here trying to pick up the pieces, but it's gonna be too little too late as weirdly enough, we get a double kill on the Nautilus.
Okay, well, now we're just showing off on Gremlin, but no, on all seriousness, the tempo has finally been accelerated for Dorado. Once they started putting their once they started putting the pedal to the metal, rather, they just kind of just did not ease their foot off the gas. They slowly started, and then after like minute 18, they just kind of started full sending it. They have an 8,000, it's a little less than that, but they have like a 7,000 plus gold lead. They have a lot of items they can go back and reset for. They're very strong. Baron is up later as well, and they have the permanent buffs of the Otacon and the Hex Soul. Guo should be able just to take this buff. So, oh, never mind. He did not take the buff.
Chucko smites it and is able to escape with a pretty clean getaway. Neela not able to follow it up, and neither is Guo, unfortunately, for their end. And I don't know if you're paying attention to the gold, but that was 8.4k to 11 something between the two different ADCs. This is an extremely, extremely fed Kai'Sa. Neela in a little bit of danger. Sure, Rakan has a lot of escape, but it's not going to escape you from this damage. Just absolutely stepping up to get taken down, unfortunately.
Mustard said, turn this TV off, and is ready to end this series right here, right now, to move up to 4-2 in their group. I gotta say, they're playing exceptionally well. The Baron is available on the map. It's 4v5, so they can go for this Baron if they want to. There's a lot of like dissuasion that they can go for. Like, they're chunking out Dax now. This is how strong they are at this point, and they're just fighting this Baron.
The Forge God getting called in. Unfortunately, Kali G is going to miss it, which is a little bit of a misstep that kind of bites for them. Dax able to take a good chunk of damage there, back and forward. Domination just not able to find his domination as Dax walks in to get taken down, unfortunately, for them. And it looks like, I believe that was Baron falling in the background. Guo trying to go for the smite, but it was not going to be good enough. Chucko looks like was able to get to it. And this might already be the end of game number 2 in this whole series for today.
Wow, I'd be... 2 really fast games, and it makes sense. This is how Dorado plays in a lot of the games that they do. They end up like kind of playing aggressively, taking fights, and then once they get snowballed and get their leads, they do not let go, as we're getting one final fight.
Ooh, the Cyclone is good, but will it be enough to turn this fight around? This is going to be hard to tell. No, the wall is too powerful as we're going to fall to pieces. Dorado absolutely rocking the competition as Domination is the only one left standing. And as soon as I say that, we get the flash kill, and that is going to be one dead next this TBZ.
And we give her the shutdown at the end. Thank you, Mustard, for that one. Well, that was a 2-0 in favor of Dorado. Went completely differently than I thought before. So there's 2 things that are going in my mind right now. One, this is only the second loss that Conduit has. So I do believe, depending on the rest of the matchups, they would, fall down to second place. Dorado, they moved to 4-2. And that pretty much, I believe, secures them second seed, if I remember correctly. I need to double check that, but I'm pretty sure that does. So that puts them in favorable matchups going into playoffs in a couple of weeks. Again, week 7 statistics pending. But wow, completely subverted my expectations, but at the same time, it makes me think like, wow, maybe the other group is the harder. Maybe the other group is the harder group. I don't know, because they kind of make Conduit look silly.
Yeah, and I do want to say that I think one of the biggest kind of linchpins that fell against Conduit is even though Neela could have done a bit better, when your team is behind, it's kind of expected that your support is going to sort of take a lot of the brunt of that, especially with someone who is designed to absorb the hooks. Granted, Neela could have been in a better position. I don't really think that was their biggest problem. I think the biggest problem was the fact that Nitro Dax was never in the right place at the right time. Because even when he finally showed up there on the bottom, he got caught and destroyed. And then even that last little fight where he got caught in mid lane, it just did so much. And the team really needed Dax to get in there and group up with the entire team to go forward and to find the damage and to get the kills, because there's so much gold on it and there was a lot of pressure. But all of these things are easier said than done for sure. DBZ, I believe that's everything we have for you today. I don't think we have any sort of secret bonus episode if you skip to track number 4. But thank you all so much for joining us in this Thursday cast of AEL. I've been your host, Radim Korak. He has been DBZ. We have had Proton on production, and most importantly, this has been Aegis Esports.
Be back next week.
Bro, just use Zen Market.